Your 2024 Miss New Hampshire is Miss Winnipesaukee!
Welcome to Seacoast Stories, a podcast about the people, businesses, and newsmakers that make the Seacoast an American hidden gem. I'm Trey Farkas, and on today's episode, my exclusive interview with Emily Spencer, who hopes to become the first Miss New Hampshire to ever win the Miss America pageant. This past weekend, the 2024 Paris Olympics officially started. For many athletes around the world, the Olympics are the pinnacle of competition. Representing their home countries on the international stage is something these athletes grow up dreaming about. They train multiple times a day, obsessively care for their bodies, and they make endless sacrifices so they can turn their dreams into reality. Today's guest isn't an Olympian, but she is a hardcore athlete herself. A dancer since childhood, Emily Spencer is a recent graduate of Point Park University in Pittsburgh, one of the top dancing schools in the country. But that's not the biggest credential on the 23-year-old's lengthy resume. She's also Miss New Hampshire, a title that she won in May, 8 years after entering her first pageant in Bedford, Emily's hometown. Like the Olympians, she's grown up dreaming of performing on the world's biggest stages, and she'll have the opportunity to do just that when she heads to Florida for the Miss America competition next January. She's an impressive young woman, and I believe she's the perfect representative for New Hampshire on national TV. After hearing my conversation with her, you'll believe it too. From my home studio in Portsmouth, which Emily drove to from Bedford, by the way, this is my exclusive interview with the current Miss New Hampshire. It has been such an honor of mine, and I've had so much fun just looking into your backstory. I'm not super familiar with the pageantry world, and so it seems like you were just having a blast the last few months. So I would never ask this question to start off because it's such an amateurish question, but how much fun are you having doing all of this?
That's not an amateur question.
This seems like you're having a blast.
You could say that. I mean, it's like I get to wear this crown and sash every day and travel the state, meet a bunch of people, and just have the best year of my life. You know, so many doors have already been opened, so it's just been an incredible opportunity so far.
What's been the highlight?
Driving a tractor.
Wow.
Yep. So 2 weeks ago, I got a tractor lesson on how to unload a loader off a tractor, and then I got to drive an excavator. I mean, who else would allow me to get into the seat of a tractor and just go to town? So it was fun.
Well, that's incredible. You are already making all of us in the state of New Hampshire very proud. You won this thing in May, and there is nothing I get greater joy from than watching other people accomplish their dreams. You know, I work in the sports world for my day job, and so I love it when I get to see a tennis player win a championship, or a golf player, or a basketball team, because it's the culmination of so many years of hard work and sleepless nights and whatnot. So when you heard your name called in May, what went through your head?
Honestly, that moment is kind of a blur. Like you said, it's such a culmination of hard work, like 8 years into the organization I've put in. And I truly was really committed to winning this year. And I knew I had put the work in. And going into that week, I just told myself I was going to be myself and just have a good time, because what's meant to be will be. And holding hands with Katie Smith, who was first runner-up in the top two, it was just all that was going through my head was, please say my name, because I had been in that position before 2 years ago as first runner-up to Sarah White. And I really wanted this to be my year. And when they called my name, I mean, I was just so excited. And watching the video back, it's like, it was such a blur. It's kind of blacked out in that moment. But yeah, it was pretty amazing. Just the rest of that night and the support of the contestants, like watching that video back and their support and their shocked faces. I mean, it just is a testimony as to what this program's all about.
That was a big shock to me, was seeing how happy all of the people you were competing against, how happy they were for you. And so I'm just dying to know, like, had your name not been called and it was the person standing across from you, would you really have been all smiles and giggles and, oh my gosh, yay, congratulations? Or on the inside, would you be, I wish that was me?
It's a hard thing to try and think about because it didn't happen, but you just have to be happy for who it is because, like I said, it's what's meant to be will be. And, if it wasn't my year, I was like, I'm going to commit again. I'm going to compete in this program because it means that much to me. And all those girls, we all have very similar values and goals in life. Everyone's so driven, has accomplished such incredible things, and we're all walking away with scholarship money. So just enjoying the journey and knowing that if it wasn't my year, then, I'd be back and ready for action the next year.
You started competing 8 years ago. Why did you want to get involved in all of this?
I've danced my whole life, and I was first interested in the program because of the talent aspect. And a lot of girls from the studio were competing, and they're like, hey, you should just try it. And I was like, what the heck? Let's do it. Let's see what it's about, even though I was petrified to speak on stage. And I competed for my hometown, Miss Bedford's teen, at 16 years old and won the first time. And I was really surprised at how much the organization had an impact on me. I thought I was just going to walk in there, perform on stage, and love the dancing part, which I did. But I really learned that the community service aspect was really what the program was all about. And then learning that I could win scholarship money for college, I was like, all right, I think I'm in for a ride here. And my first time competing, I just fell in love with it and slowly building my life skills, my interview skills, really connecting with people through the community and expanding on my service initiative. I just really fell in love with it and competed in the teen program for 2 years, moved on to the Miss, and knew right away I wanted to be Miss New Hampshire, and I was going to do whatever it took to get there.
And so because I know nothing about this world, so, you spoke about all the hard work that went into this and doing whatever it takes. What does it take to become Miss New Hampshire? In those 8 years, I know you've won multiple different titles in the state of New Hampshire. How hard was the road to this?
It was hard. I also was away for college. I went to school in Pennsylvania. So being away during some of those years in the Miss organization, I felt a little separate from it and I didn't feel fully involved. But every time I came back and competed for Miss New Hampshire, I knew, after college, I just really wanted to put in the time and commit to it. And that's when I say that when it's kind of meant to be and when it works out, it does. I sacrificed my college graduation to compete for Miss New Hampshire last year, and I didn't win, and I really was hoping I was going to win last year. And so being home this year really allowed me the time to put in the time to really go to all the events and treat every day as if I was already Miss New Hampshire. There's kind of a misconception that it's all about looks and you have to say a certain thing, but truly it's about the service and the time that you put in, all the people you meet. And so after I had won Miss Winnipesaukee last August, preparing for Miss New Hampshire this year, not in a selfish or self-conceited way, but I treated every day as if I was already Miss New Hampshire, putting on the crown and sash and just doing the job, really expanding my social media and just doing as much as possible like a crazy person. But, it worked out, and I really felt like I had really involved myself into New Hampshire and the community there. And that's why I think going into Miss New Hampshire, I felt that I was ready for it. I wasn't like, can I do this? I was like, I can do this, and I'm capable of doing this. And thankfully, I did.
When you were in college and preparing for this moment to be Miss New Hampshire all these years, and you were laying your head to bed at night thinking about what it would be like, I'm wondering how the experience so far has matched kind of your wildest dreams about how it might actually be.
It sounds cheesy, but it's really gone above and beyond. I think I was committed to putting on the crown sash every day, but I really have. And sometimes more than once a day. It's like 3 events in one. But it's just been so fun, driving a tractor. I even judged a belly flop competition on Father's Day. It's like, you're sacrificing different things during the year. Like 4th of July, I was up in Gorham in a parade. And so there are different kind of things that I have to give up this year. But I keep telling myself it's a year. So just really commit to it and do as much as possible and really represent the organization as best I can and prepare to be Miss America.
Why is service, community service, getting your hands in the dirt and meeting all the people and impacting people's lives, why is that so attractive to you?
I think I love meeting people all the time and just hearing their stories and also sharing about the organization. I'm always shocked to hear people when I talk about pageants, they're like, oh, so swimsuit and what you look like. And I'm like, you know what? This is what the program's about. It's having a talent, doing the work, and it's so much more than just looks. And I think just having that opportunity to get in the community and show that Miss New Hampshire is a role model and a leader and an entrepreneur and can be whatever she wants to be. So inspiring those young girls and young kids that they can really be whatever they want to be, and just talking about the program and encouraging people to follow their dreams because, you know, sharing my story too. I wasn't my first time competing at Miss New Hampshire and I won. I didn't win the first time, not the second time, not the third time. So it's kind of a story of perseverance too. And it's like, oh gosh, she finally won. But also showing that, you know, if something doesn't work out the first time, it doesn't mean it'll never happen. So just continuing to put that work in and have that drive and that passion in you, and you can really achieve whatever you want to achieve.
What kind of mentors and leadership have you been looking to over the past few years as you try to become Miss New Hampshire?
I think the women that have come before me, but also my mom and my parents, you know, they've always instilled really hard work ethic in the three of us. I'm a triplet too. So,
wow.
Yeah. So growing up too, always having those two beside me. And I feel like we all really pushed each other to be the best versions of ourselves. And my parents, I mean, I've always had really high expectations and I'm definitely a perfectionist, but they've always really encouraged me to keep pursuing my goals and my dreams. You know, I went to college for dance, and a lot of people look at dance like, what are you going to do with that? And I definitely did. And I was like, I don't know if I should go to college for dance. Like, I should go for something more practical. And they were like, you know what? You're too good not to go to college to do what you love and to do what you're passionate about. And so they really pushed me to follow that dream of mine when some people would look upon that and be like, what are you thinking? You're not going to make any money, which, you know, it might be kind of true, but that's why I do Miss New Hampshire. But just having that drive and looking towards those people who you want to be more like, because, you know, it's a hard world out there. It's competitive and it's so easy to criticize yourself and look down and be like, I can't do that. But just finding, you know, that fire inside you and pushing yourself every day.
What was the best piece of advice or biggest lessons that you received in all of this buildup?
The biggest phrase this year that I was told by one of my directors was, what a shame it would be if they were looking for you and you didn't show up. And that to me really was powerful because even just years before I competed for Miss New Hampshire, I thought I had to be someone other than myself. You know, I can be kind of weird and goofy and say the wrong thing. You know, I'm a human. Everyone's human. And so just kind of believing that I had everything I needed to be Miss New Hampshire and that I could bring, you know, who I am to the title and make the most out of that. So I think that was really the best advice this year.
You touched on something that I'm curious to ask. Everyone always talks about in this age of social media that we're kind of in this age of comparison, especially for women comparing themselves and their bodies, especially. So in the Miss America pageant, I imagine that's, you know, the real life personification of that. Do you struggle with comparing yourself to all the other amazing women that you're competing against?
I mean, absolutely. Everyone in this program has just accomplished so much. I mean, you have doctors, our current Miss New Hampshire's like active service in the Army. And it's hard to, you know, looking at these women, you're like, am I at their level? Am I capable of doing that? But I think you just have to go in there and be the best version of yourself and believe in yourself and be confident in what you have to offer to go into that. But it's definitely hard to slide into those, you know, questioning yourself and being like, am I ready for this? Can I do this? But, you know, I try not to waste my time worrying about that stuff and just trying to improve myself and improve on areas that I can work on to believe that I can do the job.
And what is the best version of yourself when Emily is being most authentically Emily? What does that look like?
I think I love making people laugh and just being kind of that ray of sunshine in the room, showing kindness to others and just really making people feel comfortable and capable of achieving their best selves too. what my favorite part about this year so far is this summer I've spent every weekend working at our local competitions, our local pageants. So in order to compete for Miss New Hampshire, you need to have a local title. And I get to spend that competition time backstage with the girls. And before every time we get in a circle and we give a little pep talk, and I'm backstage helping them, calming down their nerves, because it is nerve-wracking, that first phase of competition, that onstage question, and just going there, taking a deep breath with them, saying, you got this, just speak from the heart, be yourself. Because it's a vulnerable process. You're showcasing your talent, who you are on the inside, speaking in front of the audience, walking in fitness wear, walking in a gown. I mean, it sounds easy, but it is very vulnerable. And so making sure that I can be backstage for them to calm down their nerves, I think has been one of my favorite parts, and seeing them achieve their goals and improve every week.
What would you say is the most fulfilling part of being Miss New Hampshire?
I've really enjoyed going to schools. I've talked to over 800 students so far.
Wow.
Yeah, which is a lot, and various ages, from literally second grade to high school. And I think hearing the questions that they have to ask, someone asked if I own New Hampshire. Unfortunately, I don't own New Hampshire.
Not yet. You're on your way.
Yeah, I guess not yet. I don't know if they trust me with that responsibility. But I've really enjoyed talking to kids in schools and just hearing what they have to say, and even just the way they look at me and they ask for my autograph. I mean, I was like, what? You want my autograph? Do I sign as Emily or Miss New Hampshire? I don't know. But that's been a really fun part.
Does it get hard being on all of the time?
Yes, it does get hard, but that's why you have to just be yourself, because if you're not, I mean, it's going to come through that you're being fake and you're not being real. So that's why when I go on stage and just speak from the heart, be honest, be real, I think that's how people can relate, and they can look at me and say, hey, that's something I can achieve, and that's something I can work towards. It's not some unrealistic expectation of perfection. It's someone real, honest, and weird.
Miss New Hampshire and Miss America at large is rooted in service and giving back and being a role model and a leader. So it involves giving a whole bunch of yourself. Emily, but what do you do for you to make sure that you're still good internally and ready to show up as your best, most authentic self? Yeah,
that's definitely been something that I've been working to balance more. I really, right after I was crowned, I dove into the social media. I was like, oh my gosh, like I need to find time to just breathe and to sleep and do things I enjoy. But I am a dancer, so I do a lot of choreography, and I find that's a really good creative outlet for me to kind of just escape my head and move my body and just choreograph a dance for people. I work with probably over 10 studios in the state, and choreograph for competition season is coming up. So kind of doing that. But I also love to hike. I love hiking, love going to the beach. I've only had one beach day this summer and got really burnt, but it's okay. And also just spending time with my family. They've been really understanding through this whole process, really supportive. So making sure just taking that time to kind of relax with them and enjoy this amazing summer weather in New Hampshire.
I know your health is really important to you, obviously being in athletics your whole life, being a dancer and now training for Miss America as well. How do you make sure that you're on top of your physical health and wellness and staying in good shape?
Yeah, I think it's just eating healthy, balancing, adding an ice cream every now and then is totally okay. But I have a gym sponsor, actually, and so they give me a workout plan, so I get to go. Cool. I know. I've never really been into lifting weights before, so I feel extremely ripped now. Also, carrying this crown box around, it's so heavy. Yeah. So, I mean, my left arm's really getting good muscle.
Nice flex there. Love that.
But yeah, I mean, going to the gym when I can. I'm also a Pilates instructor, so I teach Pilates, but I teach a lot of dance throughout the week. And I also work at Stretch Lab in Bedford. That's a very active job.
I saw that. Flexologist is the technical term. What is that?
Yeah, so Stretch Lab is a new franchise in New Hampshire. It's been here almost 2 years. And pretty much people come in, they explain their health history, any injuries they have, and we pretty much stretch them where they need to be stretched. It sounds super odd.
Right.
But if you think about it, you're never really educated on how to stretch. You're told, lift weights, run, do cardio, exercise. But how do you kind of combat that with stretching and injury prevention. So people come in and we stretch where they need to be stretched. You know, we have our standard 26 low body to upper body, but some people like more of an upper body focus. Some people need that more low body hamstring focus. So yeah, I mean, it sounded odd at first, and I needed a job when I graduated college, and I eventually want to go into physical therapy. And I saw this job right in my hometown, and I was like, hey, I stretch. Hey, I want to do PT. All right, this sounds like a fitting job for me. And I figured, you know, I was like, I don't need to be stretched because I dance and I stretch all the time. But when I was training for it, someone had to stretch me. And I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, you know, I needed it too. And even as a dancer and a flexible person. So yeah, I've been there almost a year. It's been good helping people along their wellness journeys too.
Wow. How does one get certified to become a professional stretcher?
Professional stretcher. I like that. I'm going to go around telling people that now. But pretty much we had 100-hour online training, and then it was in-person training with a master flexologist.
Oh, wow.
I know, pretty intense. And then we had 20 hours of observation, and then you're certified.
Wow. Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got a lot of irons in the fire going professionally, and additionally to being Miss New Hampshire.
I definitely have a lot on my plate. And I have a lot of paths open, I think, for what's next. You know, a lot of people are like, what's next for you after Miss New Hampshire? Which I'm like, let's get through the year first. And Miss America. But yeah, I think already this year has opened a lot of opportunity, and even social media. Social media is so big nowadays, and I think it's something that you have to balance too. You don't want to get too over consumed in the technological aspect of posting and looking at what other people are posting, because then you get into that comparison aspect we spoke about earlier. But also there's so much connection and networking opportunity there as well. And I really enjoyed developing Canva. I don't know if you use Canva before, like the different templates. I mean, I'm like, oh, this is awesome. It's been fun. It's been really fun. How
do you make sure that you maintain a healthy relationship with social media usage?
I have a time limit on. I can't say I always abide by that.
So do I,
limit.
but I blow by it.
I know.
They make it so easy.
They do. You're just like, no. But I try and designate certain time throughout the day. I'm like, okay, this is the time I'm going to post on social media, which is normally at night. And my dad always comes in. He's like, Emily, go to bed because I really need to sleep. But finding that time, because going through those events every day and sometimes multiple times a day, I always really try to be present in the moment because, you know, it's only 1 year. And I know I'm going to look back and be like, what happened? It went by so fast. I had so much going on. And I even try and write down, you know, my favorite moments just to kind of keep that in. But that's why I just try and be present in the moment and then really designate time for that social media. So I'm not feeling like I always have to be on social media while I'm missing out on that in-person aspect.
Does it ever get really hard? Miss New Hampshire represents so much for so many people,
Mm-hmm.
and when you go to all these places, you're expected to be a certain person. Does it get hard having to kind of represent and carry a lot of weight for a lot of people, and people want to come up to you and talk to you and tell their stories,
Mm-hmm.
and not everyone's story is always happy all the time? Does that get difficult?
It does. It does get difficult. Even like some events that I go to, like hearing stories, I mean, definitely some are emotional and hard to hear. But, you know, I do have this unique opportunity to represent the program. And yes, at times it's hard. So that's why, you know, it's important to find those times to kind of recharge and make sure I can be the most present and my best self and really listen to people. But also that's been a highlight of mine so far, is really meeting new people and talking to them, hearing their stories, and getting a chance to talk about the program, talk about my life experience. You know, being on all the time is a lot, but just remembering that it's 1 year too, and just trying to make the most of it.
But I also get the sense that, I mean, you're a performer. You've been performing your entire life, dance, pageantry as well. So this is not as taxing for you as it may be for other people.
That's true. I am used to the limelight.
Yeah. What do you love so much about the limelight? Why does it make you feel so rich and wanting to continue pursuing it?
Yeah, I think I loved being on stage literally from when I was young. I love the opportunity to make people feel something. Dancing for me is an opportunity to express emotion without words. And, I love hearing the response like, oh, your performance made me teary-eyed or made me cry. I don't know. There's just something about that. It's just so fulfilling. And I just love giving. I really feel like dance is a gift I was given in my life. And so being able to share that gift with an audience and make them feel something and kind of escape the world for a second and just really involve yourself into what you're watching is just a really special moment.
The dance that you performed in the Miss New Hampshire pageant, you choreographed, right?
I did, yes.
Is that rare, or is that, do a lot of the women who do a dancing number, like they design their own thing?
I think most of the time someone choreographs it, but I've always choreographed my own the past 2 years and actually won overall talent both past 2 years. I just find I love to choreograph. I always was a little hesitant about choreography, but in college it was a course we had to take, and kind of I found that new passion and started choreographing for a lot of different studios. And I just find, I know myself best. I know I'm a perfectionist. I like doing things my way. I definitely had some input this year from other teachers and instructors as well. But, I love to choreograph and share that kind of unique aspect of my talent that, yes, I choreographed it and I'm also the one dancing to it. And I cut music too, but we had music license rights we had to go through this year. So I had to buy it through someone, but.
And do you anticipate dance will be a part of your life for many, many years to come? You mentioned that you want to go into physical therapy as well. So kind of what, I know you get asked all the time about what your future looks like, but where's your head at these days?
I would want to make dance work after this. I've auditioned for Disney, cruise lines, potentially maybe a cheerleading NFL team.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Have you ever cheerleaded before?
I did. I cheered for 8 years, actually.
Oh, okay.
Early in my life.
Of course you did. What else have you done? Have you been to the moon?
Actually, yes. No. But yeah, so I don't think I could ever see dance not being in my life. It just has been from such an early age and fulfills me in so many ways. And I know that's something that's going to be with me forever, whether I'm dancing or it's through choreography. Watch me, I'll be 80 years old, still on that stage, boogieing it up. But no, I would love to take over choreography for Miss New Hampshire too. We do a huge production show. So I already told Heidi, the Heidis, there's 2 Heidis that choreograph it. And I'm like, watch out. I might be coming for that role someday. But yeah, I think dance afterwards, would love to make that work and then eventually go back to school to be a physical therapist and help other athletes along their wellness journeys, injury prevention.
So why exactly is that so important to you, helping people with their own wellness journeys?
Through my dance career, I've had so many injuries. And,
oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. And I've been in and out of physical therapy more times than I can count. And ironically, I always hated going to physical therapy.
Does anyone like going to physical therapy?
I don't think so. You're getting told what to do and you're like, come on. And so
the thing I don't like about it is, so like I'm addicted to exercise. I love a good hardcore sweat session, and physical therapy is not that. It's like boring exercises, slow. You don't feel like you're getting stronger or anything doing it. So that's why I don't like it.
I know. But then one day you do. And
yeah.
like,
then one day you're like, wow,
okay,
I feel so much better.
But then you stop doing the exercises and then they get mad at you. And
yeah.
So it's kind of ironic that that's what I want to do now. But I think just if dance, I can't dance forever. And if I can help other athletes along their road of achieving their goals and their dreams, then that to me is appealing and something that a way for me to continue that kind of passion of dance and help bring that to the younger community and go through that journey with them.
Coming up, Emily's plans for the Miss America pageant and how she hopes her reign as Miss New Hampshire gets remembered. Stay with us. This is Seacoast Stories. Hey everyone, it's Troy. A quick word from me, and then we'll get right back to today's episode with Emily. So when I started this show last month, I knew that Because there's a deep desire to support local people here, I knew the show would be received well. But I didn't know it'd be received this well. Really, the response has blown me away. From the DMs to the emails to the random run-ins at some of my favorite spots, it's truly humbled me and has made me so proud to live on the seacoast with amazing people like you. If you're just discovering the show, first of all, welcome. And secondly, it'd mean everything to me if you could press the follow button wherever you are listening to this show. If you do that, it will allow me to grow the podcast, host live events, and tell more stories. Thank you so much for doing that and also for being here. I really appreciate it. Now back to my conversation with Miss New Hampshire. Let's talk Miss America. We're speaking right now in July, and the pageant for Miss America 2025 is in January. Is this on your radar yet? Or I know you like to be present, so is that just too far off in the distance for you to be thinking about yet?
If it was up to me, it'd be way too far off in the distance. But I got deadlines to meet. So actually, it's definitely it's starting to get in gear now. My headshots are due at the end of August. So I'm actually traveling to Orlando, Florida for headshots, second week of August for headshots. I'm going gown shopping at the end of this month. So it's definitely starting to gear up. I'm working on my paperwork and doing, interview prep. So starting to think about that, but yeah, it's definitely coming up, and it's scary. I'm like, oh my gosh, get to compete against 52 states in total. Well, 51. So yeah, it's coming.
We were joking before we started that there's actually never been a Miss New Hampshire to win Miss America, and I'm sure a lot of people are telling you, you're our hope. You got to be the one. Does that weigh on you at all, or do you just take that in jest?
I just take it in. I mean, I don't want to get too much in my head about it because I know I'll get nervous. I mean, I'm going to be nervous regardless, but I think, take that as it is but just also try and believe that, I could be Miss America. So prepare for it, because it was even like competing for Miss New Hampshire. When I first started, I remember actually in dance class, and Miss New Hampshire was dancing behind me when I first started in the teen program. I was like, oh my gosh, that's Miss New Hampshire behind me. And now thinking, that's me. I mean, I would have never thought that was going to be possible in my wildest dreams. So, just preparing for it, because you never know.
Have you even allowed yourself to think what it would be like to be Miss America?
No. I mean, I'd get to travel abroad, which would be really cool. I've never been to Europe.
Never?
I know.
Oh, we got to make that happen.
I know. So maybe that would be my big reasoning.
Okay.
Please pick me so I can go to Europe. No. But I guess just trying to start putting myself in that mindset. I feel like I'm almost 3 months in as Miss New Hampshire. So, that's finally sunken in. So now trying to work towards that next step of being Miss America.
Do you research the contestants from the other states at all, or do you just focus on you? Again, I know nothing about how all this works. Do you try to identify your strengths in comparison to Miss Nebraska's weaknesses? How does this work?
So I follow them all through social media, but I feel like I don't even have time to surf through that content and really think about it. Like I said earlier, I mean, I don't want to, waste my time looking at someone else's work, how they're working towards Miss America and strategize from that. Like, I'd rather just look at myself and, I mean, I feel like I'm my toughest critic, my hardest competition. So just try and be better than I've been in the past and go to Miss America as my best self and show them what I have to offer and not compare it to someone else's. It's hard because yes, it's a competition, but also you're truly an individual and just trying to compete against yourself and be the best version you can be. Because, we're all working towards a similar goal. We all are so driven and it's an organization really founded upon a sisterhood and honoring that and knowing that these are girls that are going to be part of my life. Almost forever. I mean, even New Hampshire, we've built such a strong sisterhood. And yes, we're competition, but they're some of the best friends I've ever had in my life. As you could see from the moment I was crowned, just their full excitement too. So just trying to recognize that and just enjoy the journey.
What will it mean to you to be able to represent New Hampshire, the state you've lived in your entire life, on the the national stage?
It's going to be such a dream. I mean, I remember when I first started college, freshman year, I always got made fun of because they're like, you just love New Hampshire so much. Like, what's so great about New Hampshire? But then they all came and visited and they're like, oh, okay, I get it. Got the mountains, the beach, Boston's an hour drive. I mean, we got it all here. But like, truly, I've always just been such a big New Hampshire fan, obviously. So it's just going to be so cool to, I mean, even wearing the sash now, like knowing that I get to be the representative of New Hampshire. You know, it's a lot of pressure, but such an honor. And so just enjoying that because it is only 1 year of my life. And then they'll be like, who's Emily? No.
No, you'll be Miss America. So, and your name will be etched into the history books.
All right. Then people will want to buy my signatures and yeah.
I'm so glad that you brought this up because I have friends who live in different parts of the country that I'm trying to tell them about this magical place I live in now called New Hampshire. And I cannot for the life of me, Emily, convince anyone to come visit me here because it's like, why would I go to New Hampshire? We have beaches, we have lobster and live free or die, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Like it has a lot of stuff going for it. Can't get anyone to visit me. So how did you get all your friends to visit you?
I think I was just so passionate. I'm like, you have to just come see it. I mean, we're going to go for a hike. We're going to go to the beach. I'm going to take you to Noble Lighthouse. Technically, that's in Maine, but you know what I mean? It's the drive through New Hampshire that we're going at. And yeah, they just came. We did the Saco River. I don't know if you've done that before. You tube down the Saco River.
Oh, okay.
So fun.
Well, you're giving me ideas.
Yep. Okay. Perfect. That's your next weekend plan. And yeah, just talking about all the amazing things we have to offer. And so they came and they loved it. I mean, granted, my roommate was from Ohio and she's like, yeah, we have nothing in Ohio except cornfields. So
tell Miss Ohio you said that.
Oh, yeah. Like, hey, girls. So, and
you grew up in Bedford, New Hampshire.
Yes.
I know nothing about Bedford.
Okay.
What was growing up in Bedford like?
It was, it's just your regular suburban town. My whole family lives in Bedford, too.
Okay.
So a lot of family barbecues. A lot of time spent on the cheer field because I cheered for Bedford Jaguars team. But it was busy. I mean, being a triplet, we were always just pulled in every which way direction of events and sporting activities and schoolwork and camps. So, I mean, busy, but I love Bedford and it's just really relaxing town. Really up and coming. A lot of new businesses downtown. Yeah.
Love to hear that. Now, being a triplet, are you two sisters?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, two sisters.
All identical?
My sister and I are identical. My brother's not.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting. Mm-hmm. What was that like growing up?
I mean, it's all I've ever known, but it was, the three of us are really close. And when I say we really didn't fight, I really mean that. We got along really well. Always listened to each other, shared. We were pretty good with one another and we all danced together. My brother danced, but then he left for hockey and lacrosse. So, but yeah, my sister and I were so close. She's actually working for Disney in Florida right now. So I miss her a lot, but it was really fun.
You decided to go to college in Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. Why'd you decide to leave New Hampshire to go to that school?
It was for the dance. Point Park's top 3 dance schools in the country. And so actually, originally I had gotten my acceptance letter. I was like, I'm not going there. Pretty sure I threw it in the trash. I was really committed to New York City. But I toured the school in New York City. And then I was between Boston, New York, and Pittsburgh. And I went and toured Pittsburgh and was like, yep, this is where I'm going.
Really?
I just knew when I toured the school, the city. I mean, it was the campus. The studios really were beautiful. The campus itself, it was really embedded in the city. It wasn't really a college campus where I went to school. They said, the city's your campus. So we just really lived in the city and went to school at Point Park. But I loved it. It was exactly what I wanted. And the city was a really nice change from New Hampshire.
Interesting. Out of those 3 options, I feel like Pittsburgh would always be the third option.
I know. But I toured it and I just knew that's where I was meant to be.
As you move forward, beyond the pageantry, do you want to stay in New Hampshire or do you want to go anywhere else? Perhaps to Europe?
I know. Well, definitely to Europe at some point. I see myself, I think, settling down in New Hampshire to live and have a family. But I think I could see myself kind of jumping around after this year and just kind of exploring my different options. There's not a lot of huge dance opportunity company-wise in New Hampshire. So I could see myself kind of going off and dancing traveling the country, the world, and then eventually coming back to New Hampshire because that's where my whole family is.
Well, you've got big dreams. You're executing these every day. Something that you've started recently that I need to know more about. Miss Inspiration. Can you tell me what that is?
Yes. So a part of being in the Miss America organization, every contestant has a service initiative. So that's a cause they want to promote, a nonprofit they partner with, any sort of organization that they're passionate about and want to represent. So I first started with the adaptive cheer team back in 2013. It was the first adaptive cheer team in the state of New Hampshire that my mom actually started. And so when I got involved in the Miss New Hampshire program in 2016, I was passionate about that and knew I wanted that to be my service initiative. So from my first year in the organization, my service initiative has always been around working with athletes with disabilities. And this year, I decided to combine my love of pageants and kind of my experience in the Miss New Hampshire scholarship program with the adaptive cheer team I've been with and created an adaptive pageant called Miss Inspiration. And it is now a nonprofit in New Hampshire, which is really exciting. That was definitely a process to get that. And so I ran the first Miss Inspiration this past January, where they competed in onstage question, talent, and evening gown. And we were able to give out scholarship money for all the contestants. And we had a photographer, so many sponsors that made the day possible. I mean, I wasn't sure how it would be if one person would sign up, and we had 18 people sign up. Only 8 competed just because we were pretty much scrambled to the last second because I was not prepared for all those people. I think I'll be more prepared next time. And it was around the holidays, so it was just a busy time. But I mean, the amount of people that came and showed up and were inspired by that event just to showcase that, yes, all these young women have disabilities and limitations, but that they're so much capable of what people might think they are. I mean, we had one contestant who was nonverbal, and we had an onstage question portion, and she came on stage and she had written out her answer on her phone, and all she had to do was press play to let it speak into the microphone. But even before she did so, I mean, she took a deep breath and it spoke into the microphone. I mean, I just had chills. It was just something about it. It just was so powerful that, yeah, she might not be able to verbalize what she has to say, but she can still speak her mind and share that with the audience. And we also had another contestant. Her name's Emily Harrington, who I've been working with on the adaptive cheer team since 2013. And when she first started on the team, I mean, we had to wheel her out, and now she's able to run and walk on her own. So, I mean, it's just crazy and just so inspiring to see how much growth these athletes have had over the years and how just experiences and opportunities like this can really showcase to the community all that they're capable of. So, yeah, it was a very special event, clearly. And I'm excited to have the second annual Miss Inspiration, which is going to take place this November in Bedford, actually, at McKelvey School on November 9th.
Wow, that's amazing. Did something happen? You said you were getting involved in this in 2013-ish. Did you have any experience prior to that with people with disabilities that inspired you to really get involved?
So my sister actually has a genetic condition known as Turner syndrome. So yes, we're identical, but we actually don't look alike. After we split, she lost an X chromosome. So this Turner syndrome genetic condition kind of affects her physical appearance, and she has some learning disabilities, things she has to work through. So yes, we're identical, but we actually don't look alike because of that condition. Actually, interesting enough, they thought I had Turner syndrome until I was 9 years old because, we split, so we had the exact same blood. So if you test my blood, I have Turner syndrome. But when the two of us were 9 years old, we had skin biopsies done because I didn't exhibit any of the symptoms. And so we both had one done right there. And they found no Turner syndrome in my skin, only in my blood. So it was very medical phenomenon at the time. They've never seen something like that before. But yeah, I think just so from an early age, I saw my sister as my sister, and I knew what she was capable of. She is the kindest person I know, and I'm not just saying that because she's my sister. She's so selfless. It's actually annoying sometimes. But yeah, I mean, she's just such an incredible person, and just to see how much she's persevered through her life and all the things she's accomplished and what she has to offer, I think just from when I was born and through my life, that's just been something that I've always been passionate about and wanted to help other people find within themselves. So it's even like, if you have a disability or not, like that's just what I want to bring out of people, is to show that like what you have inside you is enough, and that you're capable of so much more than you think you are. So yeah, that's kind of a big story in my life, and really what inspired my service initiative in the program, and what I love to bring to this organization.
And do you think beyond your time with this organization, the service component for this set of people will be something that you do for a long time?
I think so. If you had asked me that a few years ago, I wasn't sure of like kind of how I would incorporate that in my life. But starting it as a nonprofit, I would love to run this every year, just to offer that to the New Hampshire community, and eventually expand it, and maybe even inspire other states to do similar things, and maybe make it a nationwide organization and really partner with the Miss America organization. I think that's a really big dream and a goal that I'm not sure if it could happen, but I'm going to work towards that and make sure that does happen. I also really work with Best Buddies, which is another prominent nonprofit in New Hampshire. And so they work with other young people and adults with disabilities. And so creating those opportunities, those one-to-one friendships, developing life skills. So that's definitely something that I see myself kind of diving into as well, with all my other passions in life.
The scholarships are a big part of Miss America, and for Miss New Hampshire specifically, the scholarships tend to run on the higher side in terms of total dollar figures than in other states. Why exactly is that the case in New Hampshire?
It's really from all the people who just give so much to the program. We have a lot of sponsors that provide monetary donations to the program that make it possible. This year, we were able to give out $73,000 total in the competition, and we average about $250,000 per year that we give out to contestants, and that's a culmination of states and locals as well. We have a few competitions coming up where even just for a local title, you're winning $20,000 and $25,000, and that all goes towards your higher education. Through my 8 years, I've been awarded $70,000 in scholarships,
Wow.
which has been really incredible, and that's all thanks to the fundraising we do and the sponsors that are part of the program.
And can everyday people donate and become sponsors?
Yeah, you can.
Where do they go to do that?
You just check out our website at missnh.org. Email the exec assist at missnh.org for more information. But yeah, we're always looking for sponsors. And I mean, that was how I got my big tractor driving gig. MV Tractors is a huge sponsor of the program. And so when I went up there, they were like, all right, here we go. You get to sit in the tractor. So, you never know the opportunity you might have from a sponsor. But yeah, of course, we're always looking for people to get involved. And, we love to promote them as well. I have visited just about 40 sponsors so far in these 3 months.
Wow.
And so, we like to honor them, post them on our social media. We're putting together a calendar for sponsors to have and to see who else is part of our program. But yeah, making sure they're highlighted just as much as I am through this year. And that's really my job as the brand ambassador of the program, is showcasing those who put so much of their time into the program to make it what it is.
We like to get reflective at the end of our episodes, Emily. Once your 1 year is up as Miss New Hampshire, and then your year after Miss America as well, once you win that,
yes.
What do you want your legacy as Miss New Hampshire to be? How do you want to be remembered?
That's a good question. I really want people to remember that I took this title as a job, and I took it as an opportunity to say yes to as much as possible. I try to bring that light and that sunshine out every day in the community and connect with an abundance of people. I want my legacy to be inclusion, kindness, and just remembering that, she was pretty funny. She made us laugh, and we had a really good year together. And that I made the organization better than it's been in the past, and to just show that this program is a lot more than just about looks. It's about that talent. It's about promoting higher education, scholarships, and that service opportunity.
Final question. We ask this same final question to every guest who appears on Seacoast Stories, and I'll ask it to you. Emily, what is your mission that you're on?
My mission is to live in the moment and just be present and change the world in a positive way. I feel like that's very ambitious, but I think it starts small. You can have these big goals in life, but to really just showcase that you are capable of inspiring people and impacting lives, and that people are looking to you that you might not even realize. So just realizing the power that you have inside you and using that for good and making the world a better place by being your best self and being there for other people.
What an incredible mission from Miss New Hampshire, Emily Spencer. She'll compete at Miss America in January, and if you want to support Emily in her journey to the top, just visit missnh.org, the link to which is in today's show notes. A big thank you to Emily, her team, and a huge thanks to all of you for checking out today's show. I'll be at Treeline Outfitters this Friday from 6 to 8 p.m. hosting their new storytelling event. A couple speakers will be there, and they'll talk about what the outdoors and nature mean to them. So if you're into that kind of thing, if it would resonate with you, then I hope to see you there. There's no tickets. You just show up, grab an IPA or two, and take in the night. And if I don't see you there, then maybe I'll see you in town, in which case, please stop me and say hi. I would love to hear your story. Until next Monday, everybody, live free or die.